Hey guys, welcome back to We're Talking Movies. My name's Kate. I'm joined by my friend Andrew, and for this episode, we're going to be talking about our predictions for Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland. Andrew, I know what your current relationship is with the current state of the MCU, but overall, are you looking forward to Spider-Man 4?
I am because it is the same people who made the last three.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but yeah, why don't we talk about what our predictions will be? So, why don't we talk about what the story might be? According to rumors online, it's been described that the movie is going to be a street level version of Civil War, which came out back in 2016. It has also been rumored that characters like Daredevil and Kingpin will be featured in the movie. It's been said that Kingpin succeeds in running for mayor of New York City and that he will outlaw vigilantes in the city. So, I think that this concept definitely sounds fascinating, and I think that it has a lot of potential to it. Although, one thing I do have to say is, as much as I love Vincent D'Onofrio's version of the Kingpin, I'm not too sure if I want to see him as the main villain in this movie.
Which is why I actually have a slightly different prediction on how this is all going to shake out. And it features a bit of a surprise at the end. My prediction is it's going to be a war, but it's not going to be a civil war between heroes. It's going to be a gang war. Kingpin and his crew are going to be going to war with this new shadowy gang that's shown up that wears demon masks. And kind of Spider-Man is kind of trying to keep the peace on the street level, trying to, prevent it from becoming all out chaos. And over the course of the movie, again, he does meet Daredevil, but I'll get into that a little later. But at the end of the movie, he finally confronts this demon gang and discovers that their leader is Mr. Negative. And that sets up the villain for the next Spider-Man if we do get. So I think that's kind of the idea they're going with. Because again, it seems like Kevin Feige kind of won the argument that it's going to be a little bit more of a grounded movie compared to the spectacle that was No Way Home, which I'm kind of okay with because I feel like No Way Home would be a very high bar to try to jump over. So I think kind of going with this idea, like a gang war on the streets of New York with Spider-Man caught in the middle, try to be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, I think fits really well with that more grounded idea. And I think Daredevil definitely would be a very good supporting character in this. Kind of like how Hulk was a supporting character in Thor Ragnarok, but it was still a Thor movie.
Yeah, and I think that honestly, the reason why I don't think I want to see Kingpin as the main villain in this movie, if he does appear, then fine. But the reason why I say that is because I kind of hope that this movie sticks with what the first two Spider-Man movies were doing, where they were featuring villains that haven't appeared in other Spider-Man movies or any other project within the MCU. And someone I've actually wanted to see in the movies for a long time is the character of Tombstone. I think if they had him in this movie, I think he would be a great character to have as like an enemy to Kingpin in terms of like they're at war over control over the city. And I think it'd be great if they portrayed him in a way that was similar to the Spectacular Spider-Man, where he was portrayed as more of a crime lord rather than an enforcer. I think that he could be a great challenge for Spider-Man, and I think that he could be done really well within the MCU if handled properly.
Ooh, Tombstone's a good one. I hadn't even considered using him. That'd be a good one, especially because I'll be the first to admit the idea of using Mr. Negative did feel a little pie in the sky kind of prediction. But no, Tombstone would fit into that role pretty damn well too, actually.
Yeah, because I think he wouldn't just be a great enemy for Spider-Man, but I think he could also be a great enemy for Kingpin and all the other heroes as well. Because I think Tombstone really has potential as a character and as a threat.
Yeah, no, I like that prediction. I really would like to see that now.
Yeah, and I think that one other thing I did want to bring up, so I just want to get this out of the way. In the end credits scene of No Way Home, we saw a small strand of the Venom symbiote left behind when Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock went back to his universe. And my question for that is, would you like to see the Venom symbiote storyline explored with this version of Spider-Man, or are you hoping that we don't see that arc play out again at all?
I kind of don't want to see it again. I get the feeling that the Venom symbiote in the MCU is gonna be one of those end credit scenes that never gets followed up on. And to that, I akin it to where did White Vision go at the end of WandaVision? What is happening with the Ebony Blade at the end of Eternals? Yeah, I don't get the feeling it's gonna get followed up on at any point because honestly, with how the live action Venom movies have been, it's kind of killed my love of the character a little bit, which is saying something because I really used to love Venom. So I'd be okay if they never follow up on that.
I understand. And honestly, if they were to explore the storyline at some point in the franchise, I think they'll definitely need more than one movie to tackle everything. Also, it was rumored for a while that Sony was pushing to have Toby and Andrew return. Well, I can see what the idea for that might have been, and I think that it would be cool to see Toby and Andrew in other projects. I personally don't want to see them get brought back in this movie. I think that that's the worst decision that you could make for the fourth Spider-Man movie. as great as it was to see them again in No Way Home, as great as it was to see them interact with Tom, I really think that that would kind of cheapen what made No Way Home feel so special.
Yeah, I completely agree on that one. Plus, it's like what I said a little bit ago. No Way Home was a phenomenal movie. It's a very high bar to jump over. Plus, if they tried to jump over that, it'd be the same stuff we've already seen. We've seen Andrew, Toby, and Tom work together as a three. And yes, they did have amazing chemistry, and it was great to see them again. But we've seen it before. If they do it again, it's going to be the law of diminishing returns. If they're going to do that, save it for Avengers Secret Wars, which that movie's either going to be the single greatest thing to ever come out or a complete and utter horror show based on all the rumors coming out about it. But save it for that kind of, big cataclysmic conclusion of the multiverse saga, which is what it's shaping up to be.
Well, and also, I think that regarding what Peter's arc could be in this movie, I think this is definitely going to be more about adulthood just based on how No Way Home ended. And I think that this is a great idea. I look forward to seeing how this all plays out. And I think that it is the right time to tackle that sort of aspect of Peter's life, specifically since the first three movies focused on him in high school.
Yeah, and I think piggybacking off of that idea is a prediction that I have, which is this is where we're going to see Peter join the Daily Bugle because, he's on his own, basically. Nobody knows who he is. He doesn't have any family left. Friends don't remember who he is, and he's going to be looking for, ways to keep the roof over his head.
I think also that's a great opportunity to explore Peter's life as a photographer. Peter has mainly been portrayed as more of a scientist in this franchise, which is totally fine, but what I have been missing is Peter being a photographer. That's one of my favorite aspects of Peter as a character, and I hope it's definitely explored more in this movie if he does join the Daily Bugle.
Yeah, that again, it really does just feel like like a natural fit. It's like, okay, Peter's out of high school. What does he do now? Got to keep a roof over his head. Okay, let's go back to the comics and have him join the Bugle. Plus, it means we get J. Jonah Jameson back in the MCU. Now, I don't know if J.K. Simmons would be interested in coming back to the role full time because I know he did play it very briefly in Far From Home and No Way Home. I would love to have him back. I don't know if he'd be interested, but it's a great character regardless of who played it, and I would love to see it make his full-fledged debut in the MCU.
Yeah, I get what you mean. And I think that regarding, the fact that it could be a street level version of Civil War, I think that this is a great opportunity to explore the different possibilities of other heroes that could appear in the film. Like I look at, we were just talking about Charlie Cox's Daredevil, who is said that could be featured in the film. Although I hope that it's closer to how he was portrayed in the original Daredevil show and not how he was handled in the She-Hulk show.
I was just about to say, you don't want She-Hulk Daredevil, correct? Yes.
I do not know.
No, and actually, I really want to see Daredevil and Spider-Man interact more in this movie because in the comics they worked together a lot, and I think they had really good chemistry together. Again, I don't want it to be Daredevil outshines Peter Parker, kind of like how Scarlet Witch outshone Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness. Again, I want it to be more akin to Thor and Hulk's relationship in Ragnarok, which is, yes, Hulk's there, but this is still very much Thor's movie. Yes, in this one, I want Daredevil to be there, but I want it to still be a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, and it's also been rumored that we could see characters like Jessica Jones and Ant-Man even appear in the film. And I'm not against Jessica Jones appearing in the movie. I'm not sure if I'd want to see Ant-Man in the film. As much as I love Paul Rudd in the role, I just don't know if he'd really fit.
I agree with you on that one, or I agree with you that it definitely would feel like a weirder fit. I think Jessica Jones would be a better fit since it does kind of seem like this is the movie where they're going to kind of create the either street level Avengers or the heroes for hire, depending on which direction they want to go. I think Jessica Jones would be a better fit for that. I would really like to see Frank Castle, the Punisher. I think he would be a good fit and hit that kind of thing too. Plus, I think that would make an awesome post-credit scene. It's like it's like Spider-Man and Daredevil meeting in some dark warehouse somewhere, and it's like, okay, Daredevil, you had somebody you wanted to introduce me to. He's like, yeah, Spider-Man, I'd like you to meet Frank Castle, and out steps from the shadows, done up in the with the trench coat and the coat and the bulletproof vest. This is somebody who's very good at handling the street level villains. Again, I definitely feel like this movie. I do have some evidence to support this, and we talked about it earlier. I think like this Spider-Man movie and Daredevil Born Again are going to be very much intertwined with each other. Do I think we will see Spider-Man in the Daredevil TV show that comes out either the end of this year or early next year? Maybe. I would quite like that, but I definitely think we'll see Daredevil in this. And maybe he will bring some of the other street level heroes with him, like Jessica Jones, maybe Luke Cage, Punisher, maybe even Echo, because she's the thing now.
Yeah, and I think that aside from Daredevil or Jessica Jones or Punisher or anyone else, honestly, one character who I would love to see appear in this movie is the character of Black Cat. I say this because Well, for a couple reasons. So, Black Cat is a character who has never been fully explored on the big screen in past Spider-Man movies. I mean, we did see a version of Felicia in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but we never really saw her become the full-on version of Black Cat. So, I think that this movie could be a great opportunity to really explore her character when she is the full-on Black Cat. And I think that her relationship with Spider-Man could really be fun to explore in the movie, especially with how it's handled in the comics. And I think it could be a great way to keep developing Peter as a character in this franchise.
Yeah, especially because through no fault of his own, but he and MJ aren't a thing right now. And well, do I think we might see him try to rebuild his relationships with Ned and MJ in this movie? Yes, but do I think they'll be back to as close knit as they were in, say, No Way Home? Probably not.
Yeah, but either way, I think that Black Cat as a character would be a great addition to the film based on what the rumors are about what the story is going to tackle.
No, I definitely think she would fit. And I don't know how big of a role she'd play, though, because it sounds like I don't know if we want to overstuff this with characters because it seems like we got a wish list here.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But aside from all the other heroes, we also have the character of Miles Morales. It's been confirmed, or at least rumored, I think, that Miles will be introduced in the movie. So my question for that is, how big a role do you think he'll have in the film? Do you think that he should get powers in this movie, or do you think that he'll just be introduced at least?
Well, I'm going to go the route of Sony's Spider Man on the PS4. I think introduce him, have him build the relationship with Peter, maybe have him get powers at the very end of the movie, like have that be the very ending, and then explore that in further down the road fully. I think that's the best course of action on that one. Because again, it feels like we're kind of stuffing a lot of stuff into this movie now that I'm kind of looking at our lists we prepared here.
Well, and also regarding what Miles could bring to the film, now that he'll be part of the MCU, do you think that this could be a great opportunity to transform Peter into more of a mentor figure since he's getting older?
Definitely. And I think it kind of would be a nice parallel. He's maturing as a human being, as Peter Parker, to have him mature as Spider Man as well, to transition from being the apprentice to being the master. I think that would be a really nice parallel to go with.
Yeah, and I think that including Miles in the film could be a great opportunity to bring back two other characters who I think weren't really explored again in any of the other films, which is the characters of Prowler and Scorpion. So, characters like Prowler and Scorpion were introduced in Spider-Man Homecoming. We saw Aaron and we also saw Mac Gargan. So they were obviously more of setups, they weren't the full-on versions of the characters that they're supposed to be. And what I think could be great is I think they could fit really well into the idea of having a Civil War type street level story. Characters like Scorpion and Prowler, I think could match with that really well. And it could be a great opportunity to sort of pick up, where their stories never really got resolved.
Yeah, plus I think you could actually tie it into the idea of the gang war idea that I put forward is like, okay, everybody's kind of, it's like an arm race. It's like, okay, who can we recruit to our side to help take down the other side? Kingpin recruits Prowler and Tombstone slash Mr. Negative, whoever we're going with, recruits Scorpion.
Well, I'll tell you what, before we wrap on this episode, here's one last thing I wanted to ask you about. So, do you think that this should be the final Spider-Man movie for Tom Holland? If so, do you hope that this version of the character continues on in the MCU? Or do you think that this version of Peter is reaching a point where he's sort of already run his course with the franchise?
I could see this being Tom's last solo Spider Man movie. I think if they do more down the road, it'll be either Peter and Miles or Peter and Daredevil and the other street level heroes or making appearances in Avengers movies or helping out other superheroes. This does kind of feel like a logical spot to end the solo Spider Man movies, the MCU, though, if that makes any sense. Because I mean, he's by himself. If we're correct in our predictions, he'll be at the Bugle. We've kind of set him up as adult Peter Parker here. Again, unless they wanted to do the freaking Venom storyline, we don't really have a lot more character arc for him to go through.
Yeah, I get what you mean. All right, guys, I think that that's the end of this discussion. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you later.